Hello, everybody. As always, thank you so very much for watching. We're going to spend about the next 15 minutes looking at white supremacy in the news from sea to shining sea. And this is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Please do consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, the thumbs up if you like the episode, and leave a comment. We're going to start out in Jacksonville, Florida on the East Coast with this report.
We're learning more about the local men facing charges in connection to a violent white supremacist gang. The 4 men were in federal court in Jacksonville yesterday. They're among the 16 men named in a federal indictment. News4Jax spoke with a retired FBI agent about their arrests.
I think this was a long and complex investigation that we're just starting to see the first piece of the unraveling.
News4Jax reporter Corley Peel joins us live outside the federal courthouse in downtown Jacksonville, showing us that this could be the first of more arrests that we'll see, Corley.
Kent, the retired FBI agent I spoke with, says these men that we saw here at the federal courthouse likely won't be the last people charged. And according to the indictment, the gang members even tried to use corrupt law enforcement officers to find out more about this investigation. A violent white supremacist gang called Unforgiven now has 16 of its members indicted on federal charges. 4 of those men are from Jacksonville, Orange Park, and Putnam County. Officials call the group a racketeering enterprise that's accused of murder, kidnapping, robbery, and other violent crimes. I spoke with Tony Kravitz, who is a retired FBI assistant special agent in charge, now CEO of Risk Confidence Group.
They believe in the Aryan philosophy, but they have their own constitution and bylaws, which we don't know exactly what those are.
Investigators say the crimes date back to 2019. All 4 of the local men indicted were released from prison in 2017 and 2018. The indictment claims Unforgiven used corrupt law enforcement officers and state employees to gather information about people, investigations, and prosecutions.
You would do that through bribery or extortion, or sympathetic, which I think would be rare.
Members of the enterprise created a political branch called Route 21 in an attempt to disguise the white supremacist roots of its political activity, according to the indictment. Kravitz says despite their political aspirations, the charges against the group members are considered violent crimes, not necessarily domestic terrorism.
The difference between just a criminal act and domestic terrorism is that the acts are focused on changing or impacting the nation or a mass amount of people or mass destruction.
And as we will see, going from, again, sea to shining sea across the country, it is potentially impactful and potentially domestic terrorism, in my opinion.
According to the indictment, at least 2 of the members of Unforgiven previously served time at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Lake City. I have reached out to the prison to find out if any of its staff members were involved in any of these crimes. They say they are looking into it, but I have not heard back yet. Reporting live from downtown, Corley Peel, Channel 4, the local station.
Corley, we know that some of the members are accused of kidnapping. What does that entail in terms of these specific charges?
Well, according to the indictment, this group promoted a climate of fear. They would kidnap and assault its members if they feel like they disrespected them. They also say that some of the victims of these assaults were from rival white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys and the Aryan Brotherhood.
Corley Peel reporting live to us in downtown Jacksonville.
So we begin in Jacksonville, and a white supremacist group, 16 indicted statewide, 4 from the Jacksonville area, kidnapping and assaulting their own members, their own fellow white supremacists, as well as assaulting Proud Boys and Aryan Brotherhood, other white supremacist organizations, according to that report. We go from Jacksonville, Florida to Georgia. 87 locals charged in biggest gang bust in state history. Want to take a moment and leave this up here and let you look at the faces, a number of which you will see are female faces, and an overwhelming number when compared to what you might think in when you see pictures of a gang bust, especially when they are trying to draw attention to a bust in the Black community. Let's go down just a little bit, and I'm going to do an entire episode on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this episode on it. I just I want to share a couple of things here. Police say 77% of the gang, ghost face gangsters, 77 of them rounded up were part of the ghost face gangster street gang. It is one of the fastest growing gangs in the country, and a group mostly made up of white supremacists. The crimes range from attempted murder, drug trafficking, aggravated assault on a police officer. 66 of the 87 people you just saw have been arrested. 21 more have evaded arrest thus far. And again, we're going to talk more about that. I'm going to do an entire episode on this as more information becomes available. We go from Georgia to Aurora, Colorado. And this reminder, in case you have forgotten what happened in Aurora, Colorado, just about 1 year ago.
That's heartbreaking. Gilliam says she was searching for an open nail salon while sitting in a parking lot on Bucklet and Iliff in Aurora. And she's screaming like, hey, auntie, the police. When officers pulled up from behind. They got their guns on us. Gilliam was in the SUV with her 6-year-old daughter, 12-year-old sister, and 2 nieces, one 14, the other 17 years old. Police say a license plate reader alerted them the SUV was stolen. You keep saying that a vehicle was stolen, but you haven't asked for a registration, a license, none of that. Gilliam was detained and her sister and niece were handcuffed on the ground. The whole point of you being a police officer is protect and serve for the people. You did not protect and serve. You put a gun on 4 kids. It turns.
So just again, a reminder of what happened in Aurora, Colorado a year ago. Why bring that up now? Aurora police officer suspended and demoted because of the incident we just shown, the one you just saw, is running for sheriff in Los Animas County. And he's running as a Republican, as I will show you, just so that his name's Darian Dasco. He submitted his application to run as a Republican for the Los Animas County Sheriff's seat. He did that back on July 1st. He's the first candidate to submit his application, and home to 14,000 people. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. And from Colorado, we finish our journey to the other sea, the Pacific Ocean, the West Coast, and Los Angeles, California. I wanted to bring up this Google search, the Compton executioners. This is from a site called knockla.com. The LA Sheriff's Department gangs, who are the Compton executioners. Representative Walters, Maxine Walters, is seeking a federal probe of the Los Angeles County deputies in Compton. So who are the executioners? Let's take a look.
Now to an Eyewitness News investigation. An alleged gang of sheriff's deputies within the LA County Sheriff's Department known as the Executioners. Their alleged tattoo depicts a skeleton in flames, an AK-47, and a Nazi-style helmet. Miriam Hernandez has a closer look at the pressure mounting on the department to open their files on any groups like this.
From inside the Compton Sheriff's Station, a deputy's claim filed with the county about an aggressive band of his cohorts allegedly in control. According to the claim, members are branded with a sinister logo,
which is a skeleton wearing a Nazi helmet with an AK-47 laughing.
and go by a sinister name, the Executioners, which according to the claim does not allow African American or female members. Deputy Art Gonzalez alleges the deputy gang is trampling on the rights of citizens and targeting him as a whistleblower.
Deputy Gonzalez, he's afraid for his safety right now, as he should be. This is a violent gang, violence, shootings, beatings.
Why y'all beating him?
Claims of excessive force and much more. And the timing. As community outcry demands systemic change, allegations in the filing claim that as many as 40% of Compton deputies are inked executioners or prospects. Rumblings reaching the sheriff.
Well, first of all, there is no gang of any deputies running any station right now. This matter has already been receiving very swift administrative action. We've already taken positive steps.
Pressure for change is intensifying. Professor Sean Kennedy at Loyola Law School releasing a 2-year study of deputy gangs, including the executioners.
Often the inking is attached to some kind of act of violence, including a shooting. It's the ultimate expression of your commitment to policing and your commitment to the gang.
The complainant, Deputy Art Gonzalez, is a former U.S. Marine decorated for his service in Iraq, Afghanistan. Here in Compton, once praised for speedy action to save a 4-year-old boy shot in the head. The tipping point? Gonzalez says he witnessed a deputy executioner assaulting a fellow deputy. Gonzalez called a confidential tip line for internal affairs. To his shock, he says in his claim, the recording was intercepted.
Within 48 hours, a recording of his supposedly anonymous call was leaked to the gang at the station.
He also reports that graffiti appeared at the station entrance.
Art is a rat, and that was placed at the keypad to get into the parking lot. So that's the most visible place in the entire station.
Compton, a flashpoint for high-profile crimes. Recently, the armored SUV of rapper YG in the middle of a shootout. And an 18-year-old security guard, Andres Guardado, chased by 2 Compton deputies, shot 5 times in the back. Evidence of the secret deputy pack emerged in the wrongful death shooting case of Dante Taylor. Compton deputy Samuel Aldama forced to reveal his tattoo, saying that about 20 deputies at the Compton station have the same ink.
Skeletons, which is a symbol of death. There are flames on Aldama's tattoo, which symbolizes he's emerging from hell. There is an AK-47.
The Taylor family attorney put up huge billboards looking for potential victims. Aldama denied the group is a gang. The county settled for $7 million.
This is all taxpayers' money. So, yes, the taxpayers should be very worried. Criminal defense lawyers are going to be lining up, making motions for new trials.
The Gonzalez claim alleges the executioners brokered a deal to amp up arrest numbers. Members of the public were stopped for minor infractions. According to the Loyola study, sheriffs over the last 5 decades have been unable or unwilling to dismantle the deputy gangs, and the money paid out to settle lawsuits when they are caught crossing the line.
The inspector general gave me a ballpark estimate based on just public information that it's at least $50 million. I think in reality, it's got to be much, much more.
Villanueva says he is the first sheriff to impose a policy forbidding such groups. The inspector general says today there is no evidence that the sheriff has pursued any house cleaning. The county's watchdogs want the sheriff's records on all deputy gangs and the names of all members. The sheriff says due process laws protect deputies from such disclosure. As for Gonzalez now, he wants compensation for the years he had planned to serve, but now cannot.
Once you run afoul of the department and you blow the whistle on illegal conduct within the LA County Sheriff's Department, your career is over.
There we go. Again, we're going coast to coast, and we go from a potential gang in California, and we go back to our first story in Jacksonville, Florida, where white supremacists were being aided by corrupt police officers and corrupt government officials. And I want to end with this. I mentioned how former President Donald Trump's speech was unhinged and unsettling and very troubling, and how Mike Pence, his former vice president, he was in the Senate when January 6th riot occurred, and the people were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." And so when Donald Trump spoke the other day, he mentioned Mike Pence and the crowd immediately booed. But I ran against Mike Pence when he was in Congress in Indiana's 6th congressional district. And I want to play just a brief second of Mike. Mike kind of went underground after the election and after he and the former president lost. And he wasn't asking for a full investigation of what happened, how all that happened, how people got in there. You can look and check. He didn't say a word about it. It was as if it didn't matter to him that people had been chanting for him to be hung by a rope until dead. And yet, here is how he opened his first speech back in the public eye.
On behalf of every American of every race and creed and color, Black lives are not endangered by police.
26-year-old medical worker Breonna Taylor shot.
Black lives are not endangered by police. Okay, just wanted to end with that. Now, I'm not saying Mike Pence is a white supremacist. I will say this, his brother Greg Pence is a current congressman from Indiana, and he owns a store, an antique mall type place, and they do sell some questionable items. You can look that up for yourself online. So just a quick glance from sea to shining sea of white supremacy, not speculated, but in the news. And while maybe not in the mainstream news, it'll get there, but we're making you aware of it now. So as always, thank you so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I love you all. You know that. It's a dark world. Keeps getting darker, doesn't it? But try to be a light. Really do. Try to be a light. I love you all. Until next time. Peace.